Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. So for today's lesson we continue with hormonal control during pregnancy as well as the parturition process. Okay. So now during pregnancy, okay, throughout the first trimester, during pregnancy throughout all three trimesters. Okay. So what happened? Okay, chorion, which you know already, is formed from the trophoblast. This chorion will produce human chorionic gonadotrophin, HCG. Okay, please do mind on the spelling. That maintain the corpus luteum and stimulates the corpus luteum to secrete and maintain secretion of estrogen and progesterone. So initially, the concentration of the high concentration of the estrogen and progesterone is being secreted and maintained by corpus luteum. Okay, initially, and then some of this human chorionic gonadotrophin will passes from the maternal blood to the urine, where it refer to the HCG can be detected by pregnancy tests. So that's how you tell that you are pregnant. Okay, because of the presence of the HCG in the urine, which was secreted by the chorion. All right. So the corpus luteum secretes estrogen and progesterone, right? Progesterone. Okay, don't mind the spelling as well. For 3 months. Okay, 3 months means only during the first trimester. And the secretion of this estrogen and progesterone is replaced by the developed placenta on the 3rd month after. Okay, or the secretion of this estrogen and progesterone is replaced by the developed placenta, okay, on the late first trimester. Okay, or late first trimester. Late, L-A-T-E, or towards the end of the first trimester. Okay, so the secretion of the estrogen and progesterone from the corpus luteum is replaced by the developed placenta on the 3rd month onwards. So the high concentration or high level, okay, of estrogen and progesterone controls the growth of the uterus. Okay, and then inhibits secretion of prolactin, okay, prolactin from the anterior pituitary gland, and then the high concentration of estrogen and progesterone also inhibits contraction of uterus for parturition. So that gives you a hint. Okay, onset of labor, okay, onset of labor, meaning to say the concentration of estrogen and progesterone must decline, right? Because high concentration of estrogen, okay, high concentration of estrogen and progesterone will inhibit contraction of uterus for parturition. So during labor, the uterus will contract. Okay, now one of the factors that contributes to this contraction of the uterus is the low concentration of the estrogen and progesterone. Okay, otherwise there won't be any contraction of the uterus if the concentration of estrogen and progesterone is high. Okay, and then for the uterus to contract during labor, there is another hormone that plays a role, okay, which is oxytocin, that will be discussed later. Now, high concentration of progesterone, okay, just to be more specific, okay, high concentration of progesterone stimulate the development of the mammary alveoli, okay, or the mammary, the breast. And high concentration of estrogen stimulate the development of the alveolar ducts. Okay, so we can say that, okay, high concentration of estrogen and progesterone stimulate development of the mammary glands or the breast. The high concentration of progesterone, okay, causes mucus in the cervix to form a plug. Okay, I'm sure you can recall the structure of the cervix, how or where it is located. Okay, how it looked like and where it is located. Okay, the high concentration of the progesterone also causes the maternal part of the placenta to grow, right, as well as the breast and the uterus gets larger, and both ovulation and menstrual cycling stop. In the second trimester, okay, the HCG secretion declines, okay, and the corpus luteum deteriorates. So the placenta, which is already developed here, secretes estrogen and progesterone, like what I mentioned earlier, okay, to maintain the pregnancy. And then the placenta also secretes human placental lactogen, HPL. Okay, because in the exam do not write HPL, please write human placental lactogen. Now this human placental lactogen works together with estrogen and progesterone to stimulate the growth and development of the mammary glands. Okay. Now before birth, okay, the concentration of the estrogen, as you can see from here, estradiol is a component of estrogen. Okay, for your level is estrogen. So before birth, okay, the concentration of estrogen and progesterone will drop, okay, and this will cause the activation of the oxytocin receptors on the uterus. Okay, now since this oxytocin receptor on the uterus is activated, okay, oxytocin will be secreted from the fetus and the mother's posterior pituitary gland. Okay, so oxytocin will be secreted by the fetus itself and the mother's posterior pituitary gland. Now, what is the significance of this oxytocin? Okay, so this oxytocin will stimulate the uterus to contract. You can see here, stimulates the uterus to contract, okay, and stimulates the placenta to secrete prostaglandins. Prostaglandin is a hormone, right? It's a lipid type of hormone. Now this prostaglandin will stimulate more uterus contraction, okay, more uterus contraction. Now the contraction of this uterus, okay, or uterine contractions, will stimulate more secretion of oxytocin, which in turn stimulates further uterus contraction. Okay. Now the corpus luteum, which is inside the ovary, okay, as well as the placenta, will secrete relaxin hormone to relax the connective tissue in the bone, okay, of the pelvic girdle, especially in preparation for parturition. So this is the hormonal control during pregnancy. Okay, next we will going to discuss about parturition already. Men, okay, they do have relaxin hormone as well, which is produced by the prostate gland, okay, and can be found in semen. Okay, so this relaxin does not circulate in men blood circulatory system. Okay, now in the parturition, I will further discuss on the effect of this oxytocin hormone, right? Now parturition, okay, is the process of birth and consists of 3 stages. The first stage is the dilation of the cervix. Okay, so from 6 months onwards, okay, meaning to say second trimester onwards, or at the early of the 3rd trimester, concentration of estrogen increases higher and faster than the progesterone. Okay, at the end of the pregnancy, high concentration of estrogen, okay, and just the stretching of the uterine muscle will produce strong uterine contraction. Now, and you know already, when there is a uterine contraction, oxytocin will be secreted, right? So oxytocin concentration increases while estrogen and progesterone decreases. So oxytocin is releases in waves that onset or starts the contraction of the myometrium. Now uterus consists of three groups of muscle, which is the endometrium, myometrium, and I forgot the other one. Peritoneum. It starts with P. Can't recall. Okay, it's three. So now you can picture in your mind that this myometrium, okay, is the middle part of the uterus. Okay, so the oxytocin is released in waves, okay, that onset the contraction of the myometrium and increases production of prostaglandins, which increase the contractions of the myometrium further. You know already, right? Okay, the decline of this estrogen activates the oxytocin receptor. Okay, so oxytocin will be secreted by the fetus and mother's pituitary gland, which will cause contraction of the uterus, or to be more specific, the myometrium. Okay, and the presence of this oxytocin also will stimulate the placenta to secrete prostaglandin, which will further stimulate the contraction of the uterus. And as the uterus is contract, right, more oxytocin will be secreted. More oxytocin secretes, more contraction of the uterus. More contraction of the uterus, more secretion of the oxytocin. Okay, and this is called positive feedback mechanism, where the outcome of the action of a substance, okay, because the other substance to be to give more effect, right? So now this causes labor pains. So contraction is stronger as more oxytocin secretion, okay, due to the impulse sent by the stretch receptors in the myometrium to the pituitary gland. Okay, the stretch receptors here refer to the oxytocin receptors. Now, more fetal corticosteroids are secreted as the fetus grow. Okay, now when the fetus grow, okay, the fetus will secrete more ACTH, which is fetal adrenocorticotropic hormones, right? These fetal corticosteroids will decrease the progesterone, okay, and you know progesterone, okay, high concentration of progesterone inhibits contraction of the uterus or myometrium. Okay, so now the increase of these fetal corticosteroids will decrease the progesterone, okay, but increases the secretion of prostaglandins by the uterus. Oh, okay, sorry. But increases the secretion of prostaglandin by the fetus. Okay, not the uterus, fetus. Okay, sorry class. Increases the secretion of prostaglandin by the placenta. Okay, placenta, not uterus, not fetus. Sorry, placenta. Okay, I call this, it is placenta. Okay, positive feedback mechanism of the oxytocin will cause positive feedback of the prostaglandins, where more prostaglandins are secreted by the placenta. Okay, sorry, tersasul pula. Okay, now the contractions in the myometrium, okay, or in the uterus will spread down. Okay, spread down the uterus and become regular, pushing the baby towards the cervix. So now this contraction of the uterus increases because of the increases of oxytocin and prostaglandin concentration. Okay, and then the stretch receptors in the cervix, as well as the stretch receptors in the uterus, which is the oxytocin receptor, okay, that send impulses to the pituitary gland to release more oxytocin via positive feedback. Okay, again, positive feedback mechanism. More oxytocin secretes, okay, it will cause more contraction on the uterus, and since we have more concentration on the uterus, more oxytocin will be secreted, okay, and it continues. So contraction of the myometrium causes the cervix to dilate and rupture, okay, rupture the amnion and chorion, releasing the amniotic fluid. Cervix will fully be dilated to 10 centimeter wide. Okay, so this whole thing here is the uterus, which consists of a cross section of the uterus. You will see this is the endometrium, okay, where the implantation occurs, and then we have the myometrium, and then we have here the perimetrium, okay, perimetrium. Now this endometrium, also known as the uterine lining. Now that's about the first stage, okay, of parturition. Now the second stage of the parturition, which is known as the birth of the baby. So what happens here? The baby is pushed, okay, out of the uterus and down the vagina. So the baby will breathe in the air, crying, to utilize the lungs the first time. That's why the crying of the baby is very important, okay, during this parturition. When the baby cries, okay, it shows that the baby is able to utilize the lungs, okay, his lungs for the first time. The umbilical cord is clamped at two places and cut in between the clamp. Alright, now the third stage, which is the expelling of the afterbirth. Okay, afterbirth, also known as uri. Okay, that uri is the afterbirth. Okay, so now this third stage, alright, is the period from just after the baby is expelled, alright, until just after the placenta is expelled. So the contractions of the uterine wall, okay, will loosen the placenta and the fetal membranes, or known as the afterbirth. Alright, uri. Then after that, the afterbirth is expelled. Right, now there are some notes here. Right, I need to clarify with you. The secretion of the oxytocin, right, increases from first trimester until third trimester. Okay, oxytocin stimulates the uterus contraction, but suppressed by high concentration of progesterone and estrogen throughout the pregnancy. That's why during the first trimester, okay, there is no parturition. It doesn't happen during the first trimester because of the high level of the estrogen and progesterone, although there is some oxytocin being secreted, right, during the first trimester. Now oxytocin is important especially for uterus contraction with the help from prostaglandin, okay, from the fetus. Okay, oxytocin is from the fetus, okay, the prostaglandin is from the placenta. Okay, please rectify that. Oxytocin stimulates the prolactin for mammary gland to release colostrum. Okay, the hypothalamus signals the anterior pituitary to secrete prolactin, which stimulates the mammary glands to produce milk. Okay, suckling. Okay, when the baby suck on the nipple of the mother, okay, this is the suckling. This suckling stimulates the secretion of oxytocin from the posterior pituitary of the mother, okay, which triggers the release of milk from the mammary glands. That's why the mothers, okay, when they that's why the nurses, the nurses, they encourage the mother to regularly breastfeed their baby. Okay, because the more suckling, okay, the more milk will be secretes. Okay, or let me rephrase that: the frequent suckling of the baby on the mother's breast, okay, will stimulate more production of milk. Okay, so if the mother stop breastfeeding, the production of milk also will be stopped. So girls, one day when you get pregnant, you have your family, you get pregnant, do frequently breastfeed your baby, okay, so that the production of milk from your mammary gland is continuous. Okay, so that's it for today. Okay, bye.